everyone, welcome back to Brunch with Books. I'm so happy you are here with us in today's episode. In this episode, we are exploring two very powerful yet very different books, The Diary of a Nobody and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. One makes us laugh at a small embarrassment of everyday life, and the other teaches us how to live with less worry and more clarity. Today's discussion is not just about literature. It's about dignity, vulnerability, hard decisions, and the very human desire to be understood. So grab your tea and coffee and let's begin this beautiful conversation. Welcome. Over to you, Dr. Gita.
Thank you, Sritapa. Hi, everyone. Today we open the delightfully hilarious pages of The Diary of a Nobody by George and Weedon Grossmith, a book that proves you don't need fame, fortune, or fabulous hair to be unforgettable. Meet Mr. Charles Pooter, an ordinary man with extraordinary confidence in dramatic misunderstandings, social ambitions, and the unique talent of taking himself very seriously while the world gently laughs. Through his tiny triumphs and terribly awkward moments, we discover something powerful. Haven't we all been a nobody in someone else's story? This comic masterpiece reminds us that life's small embarrassments, middle-class dreams, and everyday chaos are actually what makes us beautifully human. So settle in and let's unpack the humor, humility, and hidden wisdom inside this Diary of a Nobody. So, Mr. Pooter is deeply disturbed by an anonymous, insulting Christmas card, and his mind races, suspecting friends, neighbors, servants, colleagues, and even his prospective in-laws, such that his peaceful Christmas spirit is consumed by wounded dignity and suspicion. The mystery of the insulting card reaches comic heights when, at his dinner party at his home, followed by a sudden darkness, a mysterious blow lands on Pooter's head. Convinced that the center of the card is also his attacker, Pooter's paranoia peaks only to collapse later when he discovers that the card was never meant for him at all, but for L. Pooter, his son Lupin. The insult turns into embarrassment, and Pooter must accept that he has been both a victim and an author of his own distress. Ironically, Christmas itself turns out to be pleasant as his wife carries mother's home until a mustached stranger kisses his wife Carrie under the mistletoe and unsettles Pooter once again. He returns home with indigestion, feeling jealous and deeply reflective. In the new year, Pooter receives an unexpected promotion and a salary increase from Mr. Perkup. But his joy is short-lived as Lupin announces that he has made more money through speculation, through stock market, and he has bought a pony trap. Lupin takes his parents for a ride in his pony trap, driving rashly, insulting strangers, flicking at the strangers' horses and making them rear up, and provoking a group of rough men who chase them down the road, hurling insults and orange peels which fall on Pooter as he sits facing backwards to the road and he has to face all this. Relief finally arrives when Lupin announces that he has given up the pony trap. Yet one thing remains unchanged. Pooter, exhausted but resigned, can only watch as life continues to place dignity just out of his reach. So my question to you all viewers, why does Pooter's desire for respect, order, and fairness repeatedly spiral into comic misunderstanding? And does the novel suggest that the harder one clings on to dignity, the more eagerly life conspires to laugh at it? So what do you think, Dr. Siddharth? Would you share your reflection on this?
Thank you, Dr. Gita. Hi, everybody. I think what you just mentioned is how seriously we take in ourselves in our lives. And we continue to feel that whatever we are doing, everybody is noticing us. And we try to maintain that dignity of doing the right thing, or maybe trying to get that respect, which maybe we have taken very seriously. My experience around this is standing in front of a great wheel and wondering, can I do that? I was uh, pushed by my friends to visit a kind of a fair, and this was in US when it was a small ground where they were having a fair, and we had gone to have some fun. But all my friends said, "Let's get on the great wheel." And I was looking at that great wheel. It was quite a big one, and uh, it didn't look like very scary, but still, it was not moving very fast. Also, if you have seen London Eye, it may be of that speed, London Eye speed. So, but then I was like very cautious. How can I get on this? Because it may make me dizzy. And I was thinking too much. I was overthinking at that point. And my friend was pushing, let's get on it, let's get on it. I was looking at them and then, no, I cannot get on it. And then one of my friend pushed me, and uh, I got with my friend, and the person was telling that keep your all belongings and all whatever hanging things are there, keep it down, uh, so that it doesn't fall. And we got on the top of this great wheel, so the wheel started rotating, and we got on the top of the great wheel, and from there everything was so tiny. I could like feel like I don't know where I have reached. And then suddenly on the top of it, when we reached, by now it was like okay, we I was getting used to it. It is moving very well. And then on the top of it, it stopped. I was like thinking, what what the heck happened? It stopped. And I was telling my friend, see, I didn't want to get on this. Who knows now what will happen? And everybody is laughing. Everybody, I could see that my friends were down there by that time. Their round was done. They were down, and they were laughing at us. I was like, see, they are laughing at us. Now we are stuck here. What will happen? It is such a dangerous place. And my friend said, calm down, Siddha. There's nothing. It is just a like pause it has taken. I was taking it so seriously. And I think a second or few seconds later, it started again. I was like, oh, finally. But by the time we reached down, like we had already like a fun, and we had one more round. And I came out of it, and I was like feeling refreshed. Just that moment before, some moments before, I was stuck in that top situation, top of the wheels kind of a place where I was like feeling, oh my God, what is going to happen next? And I am feeling that nobody is going to take care of me and blah blah blah. And there was so much going on in that moment in my mind. But when I came down, I just laughed it out because I realized that it was just a fun moment and I was taking it too seriously. And it had not, I mean, it was just a fair. It was nothing like I was on, on a mission critical position or something like that. So, yeah, most of the times we are maybe overlooking or I would say overthinking, and then we get into this situation, we take things very seriously. Uh, but actually, it has to be taken lightly. And we can actually, enjoy that moment at a later point of time, having a lot of laughs from that. So that is how I look at it. Over to you, Shitapa, for your experience.
Ab- Absolutely, Siddharth, such a hilarious situation. And I know at times people take life so seriously that they didn't realize that it's okay to be not okay. Like you had so much fears, and it was absolutely okay that you felt that fear, but then overthinking and everything was taking up. Just like Pooter, he also wants to look respectable. He wants people to see him as proper, disciplined, dignified, but life keeps on putting him in awkward situations. And just with that, I want to share one of my relatable insights which I have from my life. Like, it depends, like you go for a party or somewhere in a function, and it depends whom you are talking to. If it is someone we trust deeply, then we open up and say our real feeling. Like if they ask, "How are you?" or something like that, we open up and say real conversations happen between the person. But if there is a casual person whom you do not speak frequently, just met in that function, long time ago, you knew somewhere, in some other occasion we have met, we don't know each other that well. And if that person asks, "How are you?" We may quickly say, "I'm good." But even when maybe at that moment your health is not great, or you're feeling stressed, or you're emotionally not okay, but we still say, "I'm good." And many of us do that because sometimes we feel that it is better to look like, yeah, everything is okay, rather than being vulnerable. So just like Pooter wants to protect his image, he also protects, like everything should be okay, everything he does is in a right way. And many of us, definitely, we also try to do that way. So maybe this novel, I feel, is trying to tell us that life becomes funny if we are very strict or hard on ourselves. And it is okay to show our cracks sometimes. Otherwise, the society is not laughing at us. It is just like we being too strict makes them feel weird. So I feel that way. Over to you, Sujata, for more insights on this.
Thank you, Shritapa. As you have just said, Uttar's world is shaken, his dignity wounded, his authority questioned, and his expectations shattered. And this is exactly where Dale Carnegie quietly steps in, not to mock Uttar, but to rescue him. Let's begin with the disastrous dinner party. Uttar gives the dinner with care, pride, and a hidden hope to be appreciated. But when gratitude doesn't arrive, wrapped in compliments, his joy collapses. Carnegie says, don't expect gratitude. The moment we give just to be thankful, we plant the seed of disappointment. True peace lies in giving for the joy of giving, not for applause. Next comes the anonymous Christmas card, and Pooter's imagination gallops. Carnegie reminds us that most of our worries live only in our thoughts. We allow suspicion to grow unchecked. Pooter becomes judge, jury, and victim of a crime that he was never part of. How often do we do the same? We rehearse insults, assume betrayal, and build entire tragedies from incomplete information. Carnegie would advise cooperate with the inevitable. The card existed, the misunderstanding happened. The only choice was whether to suffer twice, once in reality and again in imagination. Then comes the financial drama. Lupin's speculation and the impulsive purchase of the pony trap. Carnegie famously notes that much of our worry revolves around control. Pooter is not merely upset about the expense, he is disturbed because his son's decisions disrupt his carefully ordered world. Carnegie's solution: replace panic with practical action. Ask, what is the worst that can happen? Can I accept it? What can I do to improve it? Pooter skips these steps. Instead, he clings to wounded pride. Carnegie's famous advice echoes here. If you have a lemon, make lemonade. Pooter remains stuck, counting losses rather than possibilities. Carnegie gently teaches us that peace comes not from controlling life, but from adjusting our inner response to it. So, to our takeaways this round is that worry multiplies when our hidden expectations for gratitude, for prudence, for order crash into messy reality. Carnegie's rules guide us to give without keeping score, to manage money with calm practicality, and to look creatively for a way forward when life goes sour. Thank you. Now over to you, Jasveer, for your insights on this and anything relatable you may have to narrate.
Thank you, Sujata. What a wonderful thought. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And we have a beautiful example of one of the most successful and richest businessmen of our country, India. I'm talking of Sri Dhirubhai Ambani. He's no more, but when he started his life, he was a young middle class Gujarati boy who went to Aden and worked as a clerk over there. And when he returned, he wanted to achieve something great, and his worry was to get some capital. So with minimum capital of 15,000 rupees, he started off a trading company. It was called Reliance Commercial Corporation, and he started with just 15,000 rupees. If he had just stayed in the state of worry, he wouldn't have progressed to where today this Reliance Industries is. We we have seen the kind of growth a man's thought and his determination can take him to. He could have just stayed in a state of worry and realized that he has nothing to offer. And while today it is one of the greatest industries that India has, and the kind of revenue generation and the employment generation, so it's not about just growing as one individual, as one family. It is a growth towards the nation, adding to the economy of the country. So it's extraordinary that if a man can overcome his inhibitions and worries, he can achieve so much. So he started with a small a small shop which is around 350 square feet in a market called Masjid Bandar. And from there he has moved to n number of factories, and his sons have carried forward the legacy. So it's just not about his personal growth, it's about adding value to society and giving back. So it's extraordinary if one can just overcome one's worries and face life as it comes and make something out of it. So I think this is an extraordinary example of how, if life gives you lemons, how do you make lemonade? He made a product that the whole world, we have so many products of Geo today. So yeah, over to you, Dr. Geeta, to continue with Porter's story. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasbir. That's a wonderful story and the reality that you have narrated. If a person gets steeped in worry and loss of self esteem, he is not able to understand his own worth. And going forward, he just sinks into depression and cannot go into the higher self of himself or contribute anything to the society. And this is exactly what we see happening in the life of Pooter. The comedy of Pooter's dignity crashing against a world that refuses to take him seriously becomes the comedy. And it begins with vanity and superstition too. Pooter anxiously examines his thinning hair, already the subject of family commentary. And when fate intervenes, his hand mirror crashes into the floor and his portrait also falls and cracks. His wife Carrie is convinced disaster is imminent, but Pooter doesn't agree. Yet almost immediately, Lupin announces that his investment tips have collapsed, dragging friends and neighbors' savings down with them. And matters grow very comical when it emerges that their neighbor Going has cleverly avoided loss by selling his shares to another neighbor Coming, who has now lost everything. And when the unfortunate investor Coming approaches, Lupin and Going flee through the dining room window like guilty burglars, leaving Pooter mortified and embarrassed that his own son should behave like a robber. The next blow arrives when Lupin declares that his fiancée Daisy is marrying Murray Posh and hides his misery with loud singing. Then he laughs in glee that his rival Posh has lost hundreds of pounds by following his share market advice. And then, the day of the wedding, he even kicks a tall hat made by Posh's firm in a small act of revenge. Pooter buys a costly branded pen that leaks relentlessly, forcing him to bang his hand on the desk to coax out the ink until his boss, Mr. Perkup, demands, "Who is knocking?" And all the clerks laugh behind their ledgers. Pooter feels humiliated. Going sends the Pooters to a grand sounding ball one evening, where when they arrive late, they spend lavishly on cabs and discover too late that the food is to be paid for them for by them only. Pooter pays in secret, not telling his wife that he is paying, emptying all his cash to spare Carrie's feelings and her feeling unhappy. The night turns into pure humiliation as rain pours down, and the cab driver assaults Pooter for the unpaid fare because he doesn't have money. Everything he has spent on that dinner food there. So while a policeman just looks on, he doesn't come and intervene at all. The final sting arrives when a lady friend of whom they had met on a party sends an invitation to Mrs. Pooter to come and spend the evening at her place, and it turns out that it is an invitation to pay for a stay at her hotel. Pooter declines, soaked, poorer, and indignant. So, across these chapters, comedy blooms from false dignity, social embarrassment, and the stubborn optimism of a man convinced that respectability will surely prevail next time. So, my question to you all reverse: Pooter is endlessly humiliated, yet he never loses faith in social rules, appearances, and doing the right thing. So, does the comedy invite us to laugh at Pooter's pretensions, or with him as a figure whose anxieties mirror our own desire to be taken seriously in an indifferent world? So, what are your reflections on this, Dr. Siddharth? Please share.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Geeta, for sharing that. I feel we all are somehow trying to lead a life where we are liked by people. And, as part of the society, we have certain norms and thought processes as part of what we have been conditioned on. And these conditions are basically helping us talk and think in a particular direction when we are moving in the society. But some things happen. Like I remember of an incident where I and my friend was traveling in a flight, and we were I don't know what came upon me. We were having a discussion, and it became a little louder than the usual discussion. I mean, usual pitch, and there were people actually sitting around us. I mean, it was a flight. Obviously, there were people around us. So somebody got like really like angry and said, "You are in a flight and you are in a public place. You should not speak that loud." And I was thinking, okay, maybe my pitch was louder. And then I just stopped. But my friend started talking little louder. I mean, from what I was speaking, his pitch went higher than that. And he started singing a song. And that too a Hindi song in a flight which was all foreigners flight. And I don't know what happened to me also. I started, giving him company on that song. And the people around us who now were getting annoyed. Like, what is going on in these shows? The reason for that discussion was something we were actually remembering our college days. I mean, during our engineering days, and we were actually remembering some songs, and we wanted to sing them. And it was the only time we were meeting, and then we would actually part. He will leave for his place, and me my place, and we were little indifferent to where we were, uh, and we were basically having our own time. It was our own zone, and but we also realized that we are sitting in a flight, and people are getting annoyed. The flight attendant came to us and told us that people are getting annoyed, and you should not. Sing and whatever we were doing. So we said, yeah, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. But then we didn't stop, and it was still this situation that the flight attendant actually told us that you will be fined now, and then we stopped. So I don't know, something was like got on to us, and we didn't realize how much annoying we were for the other people. But I now think like Now when I go in flights and I see this kind of young people talking very loudly, or being in that zone of their own discussions, and they don't realize that, how they are disturbing the other people. I feel, yeah, why are they, behaving like this? But then I also remember my stories of my younger days when maybe I was also behaving like this. So there is a kind of indifference sometimes we have, that, it doesn't matter where we are, but we have to finish our stories. And that I think is the point where though we want to be in the right kind of a behavioral, behavior in society, in the society we are living, but sometimes something takes over us, and we actually get out of the pretense of being the right person always. And that is what has happened, I think, to Pooter as well. And Yeah, my experience of being in that kind of a show where I was indifferent to people's opinions at some point of time, I'm doing whatever I am liking to do. Now that I'm very cautious, I don't get into it. But it's a real, experience which I've seen now. Yeah, over to you, Shitapa, to share your experience. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Siddharth, for another funny story of yours from your life. And yes, definitely very relatable. I'm sure many will be just giving a smile listening to this conversation. They must have done something like this in their own life. So I can also relate something similar from my life, like just like Pooter wants to do everything right, and people misunderstand him always. And this is something which reminds me of a story that I decided to relocate to Australia, and my all my close relatives, they were not happy about it, and I can understand their worries, their fears, but I had somewhere in my head, in my younger days, that I will tick box this, dream of working abroad for some years. I never wanted to stay here forever, but that was there in my mind from a very early days, because all my friends had gone to US. I never wanted to go there, so I have always denied that offer whenever it came to me. But then I was like, okay, somewhere, someday, somewhere I will go and check this tick box that okay, I can also manage this. And my mom used to, because I was very scared of long flights. That was one reason, and I was very scared of staying away from my parents. That was second reason, and main reason. So I was not okay with going far off from them to any country where time zone is so weird and distance is so much that both can be traumatized situation for me. But now when I said, okay, I'm going, that bothered everyone. And everyone was like, hey, now why are you trying to go? You never wanted to go. Now suddenly what happened? And they were more like, now this is the time you should be here in India, and you're just going on a wrong time. And I was like, I have got an opportunity now, and I feel I should take it now to check box my dream. Okay, so relax. I will do my bit, and then I leave that to me to manage the rest of the anxiety of yours. When time comes, you will see what it aligns with. So they were like, okay, so you will take citizenship, you will settle there, you will never come back to India, and all these things are going on, okay, and they're not able to settle down with this fact. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I will let you know when time comes what happens. But all these worries are not needed at the moment. And just uh, trust me and be with me. And with this, I just, left the country. And my parents were always aligned. They always wanted me to take this risk in life and explore the opportunity and come back when I want. So they were okay with it. So they wanted me to go and, get that experience, which I always had that bucket list. So go check mark and come. They were okay. So I was like, okay, parents are fine, I'll take it. So I came back. And what I observed was like some decisions, you have to do with your gut feeling, and you may not be appreciated by everyone for that. And that is all right, believe me, that is all right, because you have taken something out of your gut feeling at that moment which you felt is right for you. And here empathy is needed from both sides, because you know what, here empathy is needed from others to understand you, that yes, why you made this choice, and from you to understand their emotions too, because I am understanding where they are coming from and what is their worry about. So both side empathy is needed, and maybe that's what Putter is also very closely showing us the real life experiences, and just trying to he is also trying to live according to what he feels and believes is right. And we are also doing the same, right? What do you think, Sujata? Please share your insights.
Thank you, Shritapa. You're so right. We all fall into that trap sometimes or the other, as Pooter did. So, these chapters, this book is so painfully funny because nothing catastrophic happens, yet everything feels catastrophic to Pooter. Stock markets, thinning hair, public humiliation, financial loss. It is not disaster, it is dignity under siege for him. And this is precisely where Dale Carnegie becomes deeply relevant. Let's begin with the stock market debacle. Lupin's investment tips collapse. Friends lose money. Porter is left standing, morally upright but socially mortified. Carnegie's first principle for crisis applies here. His magic formula for solving worry situations. He says, ask, what is the worst that can happen? And I accept it, then improve upon it. The worst, financial embarrassment, social gossip, temporary loss. But Buddha clings to outrage rather than accepting reality. Lupin, flawed as he is, adapts. He moves on. Buddha freezes in wounded dignity. Then comes Daisy's marriage to Murray Posh. Here we see another Carnegie truth. When fate hands you a lemon, make lemonade. Lupin masks heartbreak with bravado, laughter, even petty revenge. It may not be mature lemonade, but it is movement. Pooter, by contrast, internalizes humiliation and lets it ferment into resentment. Now consider the leaking pen. It's a small inconvenience, yet it becomes public humiliation in the office. Clerks laugh. Mr. Perkup questions him. Pooter feels diminished. Carnegie would remind us most of the things we worry about are trivial in the larger arc of life. But pride magnifies small inconveniences into existential crisis. Pen is not the problem. The fear of losing face is. Then comes the ball. The wasted cab fare, the rain, the policeman's indifference. Here lies a deeper Carnegie lesson. Put a stop loss order on worry. Like a cautious investor, decide on how much emotional capital the situation deserves and refuse to spend more. Carnegie would say if you cannot control circumstances, cultivate inner composure. If you cannot prevent loss, protect your peace. Carnegie would gently suggest respectability is not granted by the world, it is sustained by composure. So, our takeaway this round is that salvation often comes from the most unexpected, even unwelcome places. Carnegie teaches us to meet crisis with logic, to cap our emotional investments, and to find contentment, regardless of the source of our blessings. So, now, Jasveer, what do you have to add on to that, to this? Over to you, Jasveer.
Thank you, Sujata. So, I'd like to add an example of a very famous celebrity, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. So, like Carnegie has explained to us that, humiliation, feeling ashamed, all these are in our mind. It's finally our willpower and our strength to face all these worries and overcome them that actually helps us in life. So, a living example is Shri Amitabh Bachchan. Uh, in the late 1990s, he faced a huge debt of around 90 crores, which is a large amount during the 1990s. And instead of feeling ashamed and humiliated, he had launched his company ABCL, you know, Amitabh Bachchan Corporation Limited, and he was almost the company went bankrupt and he had 90 crores of debt to repay. Now, all that he did is kept his calm, decided that he should bank upon his most important asset, which is his acting skills. And he was resilient, and because of this calm and because of this composure and because of not getting too worried and hassled and not experiencing the humiliation and getting completely overpowered by it, and just digging his own face into the feeling of shame, what he did is he got an opportunity for acting after a long period of time in the movie Mohabbatein, which was a grand success. So he relaunched himself there, and the bigger success came when he got the offer to play the host of the game Kaun Banega Crorepati, which is the Hindi adaptation of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So all that he did is applied his mind, uh, kept his shame and guilt and humiliation aside, took the support of people and his own skills, most importantly, and overcame such a large debt, and he repaid it. And he did not give up. He drew strength from his family and his principles, and he just refused to give up. So it's just a matter of persistent. There were almost 55 legal cases against him, and the pressure from his creditors was immense. But he refused to declare personal bankruptcy, and he worked tirelessly to repay his liabilities. It just shows that worry, if used in the right way, in the right manner, instead of getting pressurized by it, a person can overcome it with his determination, resilience, and do wonders for himself. And as of today, even though he's 80 plus, he's almost 85, in spite of that, the man still is a host of a show which is being playing for all these years, for almost 20 years, and he's doing a great job at it. So it is just a matter of determination, and that's my view on this. So I hand it over to Shritapa to conclude for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasbir. Very rightly said that yes, your worries can be your power, the way it has been narrated. So if you can use that to, understand your condition, understand how you feel, and then channelize it in a positive way to make that as your strength and grow over it. So, just to wrap up, I will say in today's discussions, let me remind you that life will always have awkward moments and difficult decisions. What matters is staying true to yourself, showing empathy, and moving forward with quiet dignity. Let's keep reading, reflecting, and growing together. Meet you again next time in next episode. Till then, tata, bye bye, take care, and yes, do not forget to like, share, subscribe our BWB Book Talk channel. Thank you.